Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's Ag Forecast for South America, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Let's rewind the clock back to a week ago. So at that time, we were looking here at this map, which shows you the Week 2 forecast for precipitation anomalies. Well, now we're into this week, and we're questioning how well the models have been performing. So let's now take a look at the brand new near-term forecast for the same time period, which would be the 11th through the 18th, and here it is. Now, you do notice the very wet conditions still being forecast for parts of Argentina and also southern Brazil. One of the areas that was missed, this was forecast to be quite wet, but we can actually see that over here, as you get over to eastern Brazil, things are going to be quite dry. Widely scattered, but possibly normal monsoonal rains forecast this week for much of Mato Grosso, getting into Brazil's central and northern and eastern growing areas here as well. Now, I want to take a look at this carefully to kind of see how things are shaping up. So we're going to look at an operational European model run here, and I want to specifically focus on what's happening across parts of Argentina. So today there's a weak area of low pressure here, but there is a trailing front, and it's cutting right through this part here, which is some kind of the core district of ag here in parts of Argentina. So Buenos Aires over toward Cordoba and up to Santa Fe. Now, as I play this forward, it's going to play pretty quickly. So let me step you back there. We see that front spreads north throughout the day today, and then eventually gives way to higher pressure as we work into the middle of the week. But what we're going to notice is that as we get toward Wednesday, look at this, into Thursday and now into Friday, we're going to see toward the end of the week, this is Friday morning, afternoon, and evening, another low pressure system sliding just to the south here, and its associated front pulling right through the same region. So two chances here this week of seeing some pretty decent storms moving through parts of Argentina. Now remember, it's midsummer, so a lot of this is going to be scattered convection or scattered thunderstorms along this front. But it pulls farther to the north here as we go into Friday night and then into Saturday morning. During that same time period, a lot of these fronts tend to linger here from Paraguay down to southern Brazil, and in through this area we do expect to see quite a bit of heavy rainfall, which comes back to the map that we just talked about. But after that, higher pressure seems to dominate. Look at this across parts of Argentina into next week. And during that time period, it looks as though they're going to go back over to quite dry conditions. Now notice I didn't talk too much about Brazil, especially northern and central Brazil during this time period, because we were seeing much more normal behavior in terms of the monsoon in through this area. So as we look out now into week 2, look at the advancement of that drier air and higher atmospheric pressure through Argentina. So my point is to say here that fields that are missed by these two frontal boundaries that again are moving in this direction, one early this week and then one again at the end of the week, that are going to be, any fields that are missed by this are going to be quite dry going to week 2. We also see that Brazil's eastern growing areas are forecast dry with a corridor right in through here and then getting up into, well, that's the Amazon, but that area is showing up quite wet. So Brazil's southern and western growing areas, I'm speaking here specifically of this part of Mato Grosso, getting in Mato Grosso do Sul, Paraná, and then Rio Grande do Sul, certainly showing up wet in the week 2 forecast. Now, I've been calling into question the performance of the models beyond week 2, and I want to discuss something here. This is now the outlook we have from the GFS over the same time period, and we do see some similarities here. Dry in Argentina, wet in the corridor I circled first, and then dry north of there. So at least if I go back, you do see, I know there's a lot of drawings on these, but you do see some similarities between our major global models. But I have to be talking about this. The Southern Oscillation Index, which is way into La Nina territory here, has been climbing for the last month, and it seems to have peaked out. Now, it's peaking out at a value of 18. That's very high. Now, we can correlate that with precipitation rate. And generally, when the La Nina is pushing the Southern Oscillation Index that high, it tends to be drier down here where you see these bluer colors. That's a negative correlation with precipitation rate. And then wet in through this area that I'm kind of highlighting here, with drier over in Brazil's eastern growing areas. Okay? Now, why I'm showing you this is because this La Nina, which is giving you that very positive Southern Oscillation Index, has got most of its cold air tucked away in Nina region 3.4, where there are currently very strong trade winds. But as I've been telling you for the last month, I'm calling the backside of this over here off of South America. That's the area that I'm starting to see the transition and the fading of this La Nina with time. And this is why I'm having a lot of difficulty trusting anything really beyond about day 10 in the forecast. Because look at the difference between our two models. While they may have shown a halfway, similar forecast for week 2, what we're looking at here are the trade winds for the next 15 days. Now, notice that the ECMWF is still putting those strong trade winds. They're right here, okay, in place, pushing over toward Indonesia with westerly wind burst here and there. Now, over here on the right, looking back throughout the month of December, we've seen those strong trade winds, but the GFS does not want to let go of them. And my point is to tell you here that it appears that the European, which I think has been the better performer, has got a weakening of this La Nina showing up a bit sooner. And therefore, as we transition out of January into February and the Southern Oscillation Index comes down, that's going to be critical to see how the precipitation patterns respond. It's not the only thing, though. We're going to see how this affects the MJO. We're going to see how this affects the Antarctic Oscillation and all of it here. But this is our latest update. We're going to watch it quite carefully as we move forward, okay? Thanks so much for your attention. We'll talk to you again very soon. Thank you.